Hello everyone, I am back. I'm kind of getting the hang of this thing. I hope that you all had an amazing week and that you had a really terrific Sunday. I was not able to make it to church. I caught the live stream today. I had to work, of course. Hello, Jonathan. I had to work today, so y'all, work is almost becoming hello, Jen. I don't know, I love my job, but these last 3 weeks have just been really it's been a stretch. I have had to work the last 3 weekends, and so I haven't been able to see my family. I haven't been to church. So I'm hoping this is the last weekend for a while that I will no longer have a weekend. I was so exhausted yesterday that I just slept all day, and I'm gonna tell you how tired I was. Hello, Lajatni. I'll tell you how tired I was, and then I'll get started. I hope that y'all are enjoying the series, but yesterday, y'all, I was so tired. So Friday, they had an event. The students had an event called Onyx. And basically all of the NPHC organizations go and perform, and I run our department's social media, so I wanted to go get some video clips, and that event ended at 10:30 on Friday, so I worked all day. I worked my regular shift, and then I stayed till 10:30 to, of course, support them. Hello, Jaren. And basically, when I got home, it was like 11:30, 12 o'clock, and y'all, I slept through the night, so I did not wake up until Saturday at like 11:30, 12. Then I stayed up for about 2.5 hours to get some work done on social media. And I probably went back to sleep at 3, and I woke up again. It was like 7:15, 7:30. Like uninterrupted sleep. Basically on Do Not Disturb. I finally got out the house yesterday about 8 o'clock. 8:15 to go get a bite to eat. But I feel so well rested. I'm hoping that the rest holds up this week. I have Friday off, so I'm so excited. I don't have plans necessarily, but I want to see my sweet niece and see my family because it's just been it feels like forever. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing this weekend. I'm definitely going to take Friday off, but I'm so glad y'all are tuned in. And today's video, so this is your first time, I am doing a series. So the series is When Ships Sink, and right now I'm covering the relationship portion, and this is going to be part 2. I did part 1 last Sunday, so you can kind of scroll down and see that. I am trying to figure out how to upload these videos to YouTube. I'm working. I figured a lot of stuff out, but I think I want to wait until I finish one series before I upload it to YouTube. But I'll definitely share the link when I do. But last week I did basically When Ships Sink. I talked about sometimes you have to be at peace with the other party, like walking away. I talked about my own personal experience in being involved in a abusive relationship, and how I recognized the hard way that it had to end the way that it did. So if you didn't catch that video, definitely go check it out. This video, When Ships Sink, the relationship series, this is part 2. I'm going to talk about how you have to be grateful for the setup and be appreciative of the fact that it might have embarrassed you short term, but long term it actually saved you. And that it might not be the ending that you were hoping for, but it was the one that kept you from drowning. So, this whole series, it's not really me bashing the other individual. It's more so talking about where I was mentally. Hello, Deshelle. Where I was mentally, and how just unhealthy, and how I was not ready or probably even half the woman that I am today, but just how much growth. And so this series has actually been very beneficial for me as well, and I hope that it's helping somebody. I talked about in the first video that I did how every video that I share will not be for you, and that's okay. You can skip that video, but I hope that the videos really reach whoever they're intended to reach. Like, I hope the last one, the one from last week, really reaches the individual who may be going through an abusive relationship or may have experienced it and just have almost felt as if though that is their, that their identity, because it's not, and how I wasn't really looking for a way out, but an exit was provided for me. And so when the exit was provided, I took it, because you almost get to the point where you want out. And I talk about how I would go through, when the abuse was about to take place, I would go through these phases where I would just black out on my own because I didn't want to remember him or the incident. And so I shared in the last video how as hard as I've tried, there's a lot of encounters. Like, I can't remember how the abuse started, but I shared with you how it ended and how it was probably, I think, the best thing for both parties. I think for him and for I. And so if you didn't watch it, go back, check it out. It's the first part of this series, but today's is about a setup. So I want to talk about this because I think it's going to help a lot of people, and you may listen to this and be like, Brittany has the craziest encounter. Okay, so this second relationship that I'm going to talk about, so I'm in college, right, and I get out of the abuse relationship. So that was my freshman year, first semester, and it really just let me know that I didn't want to do relationships anymore. I really just wanted to do school, just kind of get involved and really enjoy my college experience. And I felt like I couldn't do that in a relationship. So it's the end of first semester, sophomore year, and I go to an alpha probate, y'all. And probates are an opportunity. Hello, Leslie. Probates are an opportunity for the newest line in NPHC for them to be showcased. And so it's a pretty big deal, I think, on any college campus, but definitely for a PWI. So we were went to the probate, and I'm going with my LSs, and we had so much fun, y'all. I forget what it was called, but we were standing up on the pool table because we were trying to see who was coming out on the alpha line, and it was a great show, just a great night overall. If my memory serves me correctly. And there's this guy. Honestly, he was fine. I thought he was good looking, but I wasn't interested in dating, because you got to remember what relationship I had just come out of. I feel like I'm still trying to discover who I am and all this, and so I just didn't think the relationship was best for me. But anyways, y'all, homeboy just kept popping up on the scene. He kept trying, and I was like, maybe he just don't get it. Maybe he hasn't experienced rejection before, and this is almost a competition now, and he's just trying to figure out how long is it going to take for me to say yay or nay. Finally, and I'm talking about finally, I end up going to meet him at the park. I was leaving my sister's game. She was a senior in high school, and I go to the park, meet him or whatever, and he was like, man, you're the hardest person to get in contact with, but I would love to just take you to lunch and just show you a good time. And he was like, if lunch doesn't do, a coffee shop would work as well. He's like, I just want to get to know you better and almost develop a friendship. So I'm kind of just I'm really busy. The timing is just not good. Oh, he doesn't give up. He finally gets the number, and we finally start chit-chatting, good conversation. Things are going really well. About 2 or 3 weeks after we were talking, he ended up going on a cruise with his family, and it was crazy because when he was on the cruise, that's when I low-key started to kind of miss him, because we kind of had started talking on the regular. So I was like, man, I can't wait till he gets back, can't wait till our next conversation. And it was crazy because it was when he got back, that's the era of Skype. We started Skyping, and he basically tells me that he does not live in the Florence area, which was mind-blowing to me because I was like, well, like, where do you live? Like, that's, you know, where we met, and that's where he had been, you know, during the duration. But he was actually just visiting family for the holidays. Now, I don't think long-distance relationships are bad. I really think that long-distance relationships can work if both parties are willing to put in the work. I think they can be successful, but I think you have to have those tough conversations about boundaries and, you know, just what you require of the individual. So anyways, we make it work. Things are going really well. We end up dating for probably 2.5 years, almost at the 3-year mark. Things were going really well, long distance. He ended up, he graduated and ended up going to pursue his graduate studies in Birmingham, which is why I find it so crazy that the Lord has placed me here in Birmingham, because I had just such, Birmingham was almost home. Like, when he moved to Birmingham, y'all, I was running up and down the highway. I'm talking about every chance I got. Like, I would, if I found out a class got canceled and I looked at my schedule and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I was running to Birmingham. Birmingham was almost basically home. And I was sneaking down here, so I wasn't telling my mama and wasn't telling my friends. Like, I didn't need anyone trying to tell me why I didn't need to be coming down to Birmingham as often as I was. I think because we were in this whole long distance thing, and just unable to do that for so long now that we were so close to each other. So we went from being about, I guess, 6 hours, maybe 7 hours away to only 2 hours away. So it's like, why not? Anyways, things were going really well, but he's now pursuing graduate studies and I am still in school. And so what happened is that he was becoming more and more, I think, stressed out. Well, I know he was becoming more and more stressed out with his school, and he wanted me to come to Birmingham more, and I felt like I was coming as much as I could, and as much as my schedule would allow, because at the end of the day, I wanted to graduate too. Like, I wanted to achieve that level of success that he had already achieved, and I just didn't feel like it was the smart thing to do to put the relationship over my academic studies. So anyways, there were times where he would call and want me to come, and I just wasn't able to. And so I felt like that began to create the some of the just tougher times during the relationship now that we're closer. The breakup. When you're in a sorority or fraternity, you always just feel obligated to support your sisters or your brothers, even on events that you don't even really want to go to, but you go out of support. So if it's a graduation party, even if you went to the graduation, you just almost feel obligated to go to the graduation party as well, and you just do those things simply because it's a support thing, and in a sense you would want them to, of course, do the same for you when your time comes. So I have a sorority sister who wants to celebrate her birthday in Birmingham. I knew that if I went, I was going to have to be the designated driver, and I wasn't feeling it. And so I told them I wasn't going to go. And they were cool with it. I didn't get a lot of mouth from them. So my mom, I'm there that week, and my mom, it's like, Brittany, what are you going to do this weekend? And I'm like, nothing, just chill. I was like, some of my sorority sisters, I was like, pretty much like half the chapter is gonna go to Birmingham and celebrate this birthday shindig, and I was like, but I'm not going because I'm about to be the designated driver, and that just seems like a lot of work to drive down and have to drive back. And my mom, of all people, who didn't even like me going to the club, she was like, Brittany, you're just so serious. She's like, you don't have enough fun. And she's like, you're gonna look back on your college years and wish you would have done more of the fun stuff, more of the spontaneous stuff. She was like, you can't be serious all your life. She's like some days you need to take random trips, with them, because you're not gonna be able to do that as often when you graduate. And she just made a big fuss about me not going. I was almost in a state of shock. So the week of, I decided to go. Well, when I decided to go to Birmingham, I let him know that, gonna be coming to Birmingham, but I probably won't be able to come and see you. And he was like, yeah, that's cool. He was like, I'm gonna be studying for finals anyway, so he was like, it just kind of works out. So I was like, cool. So anyways, y'all, the party comes and we drive down and we ended up stopping at a restaurant. We ended up stopping at a restaurant in Decatur. We go there to her mom's house and get ready, and there's pre-partying going on, and we're gonna leave Decatur and head to Birmingham. So this is gonna be one of those Alpha, Q, Delta, AKA parties. And there were a lot of people. It was downtown Birmingham. And we make it, the party, it's fun. We strolled a little, we danced a little. It was a good time. Well, I noticed at 1:30, this party is it's went to another level. But I'm looking at the watch, and so I ended up asking this random girl. I was like, do you know what time, this party ends? I was like, I thought it was 2. She was like, no. She's like, the flyer said 4. And I was like, a.m.? I was like, oh, no. What I end up doing is I text him, right, the boo thing. And I text him and say, yeah, the party doesn't end until 4. And I was like, we have to drive back tonight. And I was like, I just can't believe I didn't know this. And I was like, would it be cool with you if I just came over there and just got a little quick 30-minute nap? And he's like, yeah, cool. So I'm like, when y'all get ready to leave, call me. On my way to his apartment, y'all, there's a car who's swerving in and out of traffic. Okay, in and out. And they're cutting me off, but then also getting behind me at times. But then once they felt like they knew where they were going, they end up cutting me off some more. Well, y'all, they end up pulling into the same complex that I'm going to. But I'm almost well, thank God they made it, because they were struggling on the road. Well, we pull into the complex and you come down this little hill and make a little turn in. Well, they keep going, and I think nothing else about that car or the people in the car. I couldn't have told you if they were male or female. He was always the very much so a gentleman and he had some sweats and a t-shirt out for me. So I go to the back to change. There's a knock at the door. Now remember, y'all, this is close to 2 o'clock in the morning, okay? So I'm kind of confused, but not thinking anything of it. So he's and he immediately says, did anybody follow you here? I think about the car, but I also think I've technically followed them here. So I was like, no. He goes to the door, looks out the peephole. He comes back and he says, I don't recognize her. And for whatever reason, y'all, all I heard was her. So I proceed to go to the door to check and see. I was like, well, does she look distressed? Is she look like she's in need of assistance? Have you ever seen her around the complex before? He's all like, no. So I go behind the door. The crazy thing is when I look through the peephole, the girl that I see behind the peephole, I've actually been with all day, starting at the lunch for the birthday girl. But my crazy behind, y'all, opens up the door. Why? I still don't know why I did that. Maybe I just wanted answers. I open up the door, and y'all, the girl that was actually behind the peephole, she scoots out the way, and another girl walks in and says, so this is why I couldn't come over this weekend. My mind is blown, because one, I'm not even supposed to be on this trip. I didn't want to come. I wanted to celebrate the birthday girl because, loved her. So this girl comes in talking about, so this is why I couldn't come over this weekend. And I'm kind of like, well, dang, how many weekends has she been coming over? I felt stuck. So I recognized that she kept calling me the girlfriend. So she knew that I existed. Who can I call? Right? All my sorority sisters at this point have probably had a drink or two and wouldn't have been able to find me. Even if I'd given them the directions, because the complex was somewhat hidden, so I can't call any of them. I didn't think I could call my mom, and because my mom wasn't the biggest fan of this young man. Who can I call? Who can help me think clearly and to do what's the best thing to do in the most awkward situation? If you're wondering about the car swerving in and out, that was her in the car. So it was crazy because at this point I am so hurt because it's around this time all this stuff goes on. The cops have to be called because the girl wouldn't leave. By the time the cops had gotten there, the girl had already left, and there's just so much chaos going on. So literally when I had walked into the apartment, he was like, we can turn a movie on. He's like, I know you're probably not gonna watch it because you're gonna go to sleep. He's like, but I thought we could at least catch 30 minutes of this movie. Y'all, I could tell when the cops were interviewing him that he was lying to the cops. I had already kind of figured up in my head what was really going on and what I was going to do moving forward. But y'all, homeboy, when that cop left, he literally shut the door, y'all, and hit play on the movie. I was like, oh, no, pause. At this point now, y'all, my sorority sisters are calling, so I can't just leave them stranded, right? So, y'all, that night, I told them I couldn't drive home. So, I had to end up getting a hotel room, and it was just a whole bunch of chaos because we had no intent of staying in Birmingham. I think in the end, I knew that if I could not trust him, if I just couldn't trust him 2 hours away, then I knew that there was no point in me trying to force something to work, trying to make it work. Like, obviously this ship is sinking and I could do one or two things. Like, I could stay on the ship, right? Or I could go ahead, jump off and save myself. Because if you're having to wonder, second guess, hope, right? They're being faithful or honest. Think about the amount of hurt that you're doing to yourself because you're basically setting yourself up for failure. So I think sometimes you need to be grateful for the setup that takes place, that God allows to set up, that God allows to take place, because I think about that story and I'm like, man, so much could have went left. But can you just imagine how all of this was revealed to me on a trip that I had no intent of going on until my mom made this big fuss about me not going. And so I think sometimes you just need to be grateful for the setup. I just think, overall he was a great guy, but he was not the guy, right, for me. And I think that's okay. I think sometimes we as women who are single and who are in the whole dating process, we get caught up into just holding on to the potential and holding on to all of the good things that they've done. But sometimes that one bad thing, the one act of betraying your trust, the one negative thing is something, right? It's like a red flag. So that one served as notice to me that this was not God's will for my life. And I think God was showing that to me then, and he's I think will show it to you as well if you are willing to pay attention. I think sometimes our perspective is off simply because we're looking through our own pair of lenses, and if we started to look through the pair of lenses that God gives us, we'd be able to see things clearly.